Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to another Tumbler tutorial. A few weeks back during my 13 Days of Halloween series, I asked all of you if you would like me to do a true crime Tumbler in the more traditional sense, I guess, when you think of true crime. And I got a lot of, yes, please do that. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing my version of a more kind of classic true crime Tumbler. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, you know the drill. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. Subscribe to my channel if you are not already. And of course, let me know what you think down below in the comments. As always, the description box down below will have a lot of stuff for you. I'll have links to everything I'm using in this video, discount codes, links to all of my social media pages, a link to join my Facebook group, and a link to sign up for my exclusive mentorship group, MBMM Elite. And I think that's it. I really hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Let's go. We're starting with a 20-ounce skinny straight tumbler that I've painted white, and I've got a very thin coat of epoxy on my cup, just about maybe 2 milliliters. And now I'm going in with my base coat of glitter. For this base, I'm using Galadriel from Peachy Olive Glitters, and I'm just going to cover my entire tumbler with this glitter. You can use any white, silver, iridescent, whatever color glitter you want to use. This is what's going to show through underneath the semi-transparent vinyl we're going to add later, so just keep that in mind. You don't want to use anything too dark. Once I've got the glitter applied to my cup, I'm going to roll my cup in my scrapbook paper to help that glitter lay flat, and then I'm going to get rid of any little pokey bits up at the top, pat down the bottom, and just make sure that my glitter is laying flat. And then I'm going to let my cup sit and dry for probably about 2 to 3 hours. Once my epoxy layer is dry, I'm going to seal my glitter. And to seal my glitter, I'm going to use a half and half mixture of the Crystal glitter glue and water. And I'm just going to brush that all over my tumbler. This is going to help us when we epoxy later. It's going to help that glitter again stay laying flat so we don't have to do a ton of sanding. And it just helps prevent bubbles in your epoxy. I always recommend sealing your glitter. So this will take about 2 hours to dry. Once that's totally dry, I'm going to add 2 coats of epoxy to my cup. I'm using the Flynn Fast Cure epoxy, so in between each coat I waited about 3 to 4 hours, and each of my coats was 20 milliliters. Alright, so we've got our cup with our epoxy on it, and it's pretty smooth. So what I'm going to do is sand down this bottom rim here, and then also sand down the top rim, so we have a really smooth surface so that we can move on to our next steps. Once I'm done sanding, I'm going to wash my cup with dish soap and water, and then we should be good. You can also clean your cup with rubbing alcohol if that's easier for you. Doesn't really matter, you just want to get all that sanding residue off. Alright, so my cup is all sanded and smooth and ready for all of the decoration we're going to do on it. What I think I'm actually going to do is 2 of our foil stripes, 2 of our crime scene stripes, and then we'll do a fun stripe in the middle to kind of just differentiate the top from the bottom. I'm going to use my 2-inch painter's tape just as this is going to be a really rough measurement. So I'm going to measure 2 of these strips to be just about 4 inches, which is going to be give or take half of our tumbler. And I just want to keep that there. And then I'm going to take my 1-inch painter's tape here and I'm going to do another inch because that's where that fun middle stripe is going to go. So I'm going to wrap that all the way around so that we can actually mask that part off. And now from here, what I can do is add my foils. So I'm going to start with my first stripe and I'm going to line it up with this middle stripe that we have just laid down. I'm going to try and keep this as straight and as smooth as possible. So I'm just going in really small sections, pulling the backing away as I go. Just making sure we don't have any wrinkles or anything because you will see that underneath the foil. Okay, and when I get to the end, I'm going to get rid of this blue backing from the top layer. And then I'm going to make sure that this section overlaps just the slightest bit. Once I have that, I can cut off the excess here. I'm also going to get rid of this piece of tape now. Okay, so we've got our first foil stripe on. So what I'm gonna do is foil it. So I'm gonna take my little strip of foil here, and I'm gonna cut just about the amount I need so that I can really cleanly remove this. Start with my foil and just wrap that around tightly also. And just try and get the best and smoothest coverage I can. Now this stuff is going to hold your foil pretty well. And if there's any spots that need to be touched up, just take another little bit of foil and fill in the blanks. With a solid foil like this, it's pretty easy. You don't have to match up a pattern or anything, so it's a little bit easier. You know, a little distressing for me is okay because I think it just adds to like the roughness of the theme of this tumbler. But if you want perfect coverage, you can go back and perfect your coverage, no problem. But there's what our first stripe looks like with the foil. So now what I'm going to do is take another piece of painter's tape. If you want to just measure, you can also. But I'm going to use this 1/2 inch painter's tape because these are just about a 1/2 inch wide, maybe a little bit more. So I just want to have a placeholder for those to go right in the middle of our 2 foil stripes. I'm going to take my adhesive and I'm going to put it as straight on my cup as possible, as smooth as I can get it. And then we'll do the same thing. We're going to peel a little bit of this backing away. Make sure we have just a smidgen of overlap. Cut away the excess. And from here we can repeat that foiling process. So I'm going to take another little strip of foil. And then I'm just going to lay it down and smooth it onto my cup as I go. All right, so there's our 2 foil stripes, and now we can add our crime scene tape right in the middle of each one, or right after each one, I guess. Okay, so before we put our semi-transparent blood splatter elements on here, we need to obviously shine our cup up again. So I'm gonna add another coat of epoxy to my tumbler, just a really quick thin one. So what I'm gonna do first though is add my decal so we can seal that in. So I'm going to find the front of my cup and I'm gonna apply my decal. I cut this out of Onyx textured metallic vinyl. This is from Cricut. So I'm just gonna weed it and then we will put it on our tumbler. And I'm gonna weed out all of these tiny little pieces after the decal is already on the cup. For these kinds of decals, I like to use the black grid transfer tape from Tech Up Craft. I find that it just picks up the textured metallic vinyl better than anything else I've tried, but it's totally up to you, whatever you prefer to use, obviously, do that. So once I've got my transfer tape on, I'm going to very carefully pull back the backing. I want to make sure I'm not losing any letters or messing anything up. And then I'm going to apply the decal to my tumbler. And once the decal is applied, I'm going to go through and weed out all of the insides of my letters. I find that it's easier to do it this way. It just prevents losing any of these tiny little pieces. So I'm just going to go through and weed those. And then I'm going to take my paint pen and I'm going to dot all of my eyes because I lost all of those super tiny little circles in the cutting process. And under epoxy, you won't be able to tell these are paint at all. It'll look all the same. All right, so we've got a coat of epoxy on our cup now. So what we're going to do is add our middle stripe and then we'll finish off the bottom and do all of our other striping on here and get this guy finished off. So what I'm going to do is take this stripe of blood splatter vinyl. I cut this at 1 inch wide and I'm going to just take it and place it right over this line here, right on top of our foil line. And it's going to overlap a little bit with our decal, and that's okay. We can always cut around that later. And now what I'm going to do is go in with my knife and I'm going to cut around all of these half spots. I'm going to take away this big spot and maybe replace it with some little ones so that everything looks really nice and seamless and doesn't cover up any portion of our decal. Now my goal is to make it look like it was not cut. I just want everything to look really seamless and clean. So there's that first stripe there. And what I think I kind of want to do is see what it looks like with some random blood splatter all around here. Now that wasn't the original plan, but now that I look at it, I kind of like how this looks. And I feel like it might just add a little bit more to the creepiness of the whole thing. So I'm thinking now I might swerve and add some more to the top, just to really fill in the space there. So let's see what it'll look like. So now that we've got all of the vinyl work done up on the top of the cup, we can move down to the bottom. I'm going to take some blue painter's tape and tape off right on that crime scene tape that's at the bottom of our cup. And my initial plan, I was thinking, was to paint this red, and then I thought it might look cool to do it black. So I'm just going to take my black acrylic paint and I'm going to paint it black. You can do whatever you want on the bottom here. If you want to glitter it, you can. If you want to foil it, you totally can. Feel free, be creative, do whatever you want. I just thought a black bottom would tie together the black vinyl and just kind of make it a little bit more dark. So I painted that and then I just sped up the drying process with my heat gun. Now I'm going to go through and remove that painter's tape. And now I'm going to add my vinyl striping in between each of my stripes. So I'm using that same onyx textured metallic vinyl that we used for the decal. And I cut these stripes at 0.1 inches in width. And I'm just going to, as you can see, line each of my stripe sections with this black vinyl. And I'm not going to cut off the excess at the back. This vinyl tends to shrink as it goes on there, or as it cures. I don't know what the right wordage is, but anyway, wordage? Anyway, I'm not going to cut off the excess, but once I've got those on, I'm going to seal my vinyl with my polyacrylic, and then I'm going to add my final 2 coats of epoxy. For my final 2 coats, I used the Flynn Sisters Artist Cure epoxy, and each of those coats was about 15 to 20 milliliters. So this is the final result. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did have a lot of fun making this cup, even though it's definitely not in my typical style. But anyway, I hope you guys liked it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are not already, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye.